Hi everyone, and welcome to this tutorial on the Unity editor. Whether you're new to Unity or just looking to brush up on your skills, this video will help you navigate the Unity editor and understand its key features. Let's get started. First, let's open Unity. You'll be greeted by the Unity Hub. Here, you can create a new project, open existing ones, or explore templates. If you haven't installed Unity or Visual Studio yet, don't worry. We covered that in the previous chapter. Click on New Project to open the Templates view. From here, you can select any of the editors you have installed on your system. The available templates depend on the editor version you select here. On the left side, you'll notice a category selection. All Templates displays all available templates installed on your system. Core contains essential templates for starting from scratch, like 2D and 3D. These are ideal for building projects without pre-made content. Sample offers templates with pre-built functionality and assets. These are great for exploring Unity features or learning from pre-configured setups. Learning includes guided templates designed for newcomers. They feature tutorials and assets to help you learn specific workflows in Unity. For now, let's keep it simple and choose a core template. These are the templates I currently have pre-installed or downloaded. When you select a template, a brief description appears, giving you an overview of its purpose. If you want more details, you can click Read More, which provides information about the rendering pipeline used by the template, the file size, suggested platforms for deployment, and the packages included with the template. Personally, I usually start with a 3D or 2D project using the built-in render pipeline. This option includes the minimal set of packages, giving me full control to add only the features I need later, including support for other rendering pipelines. You're of course free to choose what best suits your workflow and goals. If you choose a template not downloaded, you can download it by simply clicking the Download Template button. Now, let's select a template, give our project a name, and choose where to save it. Once everything is set, click Create Project to launch the Unity editor and begin building your game. The Unity editor will now open once all the necessary packages and project files have been created and loaded. This process may take a few moments, depending on the complexity of your project and the speed of your system. Once the editor has loaded, you'll see the Unity editor interface. By default, the layout looks like this. Let's get familiar with the main components of the user interface, which you'll use frequently while creating your game. The hierarchy. This lists all the objects in your scene, like cameras, lights, and 3D models. The project. This contains all the assets in your project, such as textures, scripts, and prefabs. The scene view. This is where you build and arrange your game world. You can pan, rotate, and zoom in to view your scene. The inspector. Here you can edit properties of the selected object, like its position, rotation, and scale. The game view. This shows how your game will look when it's running. The console. This is where you'll see messages, warnings, and errors while testing your game. We will dive deeper into these areas as we start working with different parts of the Unity editor. For now, let's take a moment to customize the editor to suit our workflow. Customizing the Unity editor is simple and flexible. Personally, I prefer to see both the scene view and the game view at the same time. To achieve this, I'll move the game view to a different position in the layout. To move windows, simply drag any window by its tab to reposition it within the editor. You can dock it alongside other windows or leave it floating as an undocked window. To resize panels, just hover over the edges of any window or panel to resize it, ensuring you have enough space for the tools you use most frequently. If things get messy, you can always reset to the default layout by selecting Window, Layouts, Default. You can also use the shortcut in the upper right corner. Feel free to experiment with different layouts until you find one that works best for you. The ability to customize the interface is one of Unity's strengths, helping you streamline your workflow and focus on what's most important for your project. Now that I have customized the layout to suit my preferences, let's move on to creating some game objects. In Unity, game objects are the fundamental building blocks of any scene. They represent everything in your game world, from characters and environments to lights and cameras. A game object is essentially an empty container. By itself, it doesn't do much, but it can hold components which define its behavior and appearance. Every object in your scene, whether it's a 3D model, a sprite, or even the player's character, is a game object at its core. To create a game object, go to the hierarchy window, click the plus button, or right-click anywhere in the window. From the menu, select Game Object, 3D Object, and then Plane. This will add a plane to your scene, and you'll see it appear in both the hierarchy, scene view, and game view. I'll rename it to Ground. Now that we have a game object and it's selected, you'll notice that the inspector window updates to show its properties. You can use the tools in the Scene View toolbar to move, rotate, or scale the game object. As we manipulate the object, the changes can be seen in the inspector. At the top, you'll see the Transform component, which every game object has by default. The Transform component controls Position, where the object is located in the scene; Rotation, the direction the object is facing; Scale, the size of the object. Try adjusting the values in the Transform component and see how the game object changes in the scene view. Next, let's add another game object to our scene. This time, we'll add a capsule and rename it to Player. Now that we've created the player game object, let's adjust its position so it sits above the ground. Click the Move tool in the toolbar and use the green arrow in the scene view to drag the capsule upwards until it's no longer intersecting with the ground. Alternatively, adjust the Y position to a value in the inspector. To confirm that the player is above the ground, we can rotate or move the scene view camera to check the player's position from different angles. To efficiently work in Unity, it's important to understand how to navigate the scene view. Let's go over the basic controls. Panning the scene view. Hold down the middle mouse button, also called scroll wheel, and move the mouse to pan the view horizontally or vertically. This is useful for shifting your view without changing the angle or zoom level. Zooming in and out. Use the scroll wheel to zoom in and out of the scene view. This allows you to quickly adjust how close or far you are from your objects. Rotating the scene view. Hold the right mouse button and move the mouse to rotate the view. This lets you look around your scene from different angles, giving you a better understanding of your game world. Using game movement. When holding the right mouse button, you'll notice the cursor changes to show the arrow keys. Just like a first-person game, you can now move the scene view forward, backward, left, or right while holding the right mouse button and using arrow keys or W, A, S, or D keys. For added control, use the Q and E keys to move the camera down or up, respectively. Also, holding Shift key will increase movement speed if needed. Now that you can navigate the scene view like a pro and manipulate game objects through the inspector, let's take a closer look at the project window. This is where you organize and manage all the assets in your project, including 3D models, scripts, materials, textures, and more. To keep things organized, we'll start by creating a folder specifically for materials, and then create and apply a material to one of our objects. In the project window, right-click in an empty space to create a new folder. From the context menu, select Create, then Folder. Name the folder Materials. Open the newly created Materials folder and right-click inside that folder and select Create, then Material from the menu. A new material will appear, named New Material by default. Rename it to something descriptive, such as Ground or any name of your choosing. This material will later be applied to your ground object or any other game object you prefer. Organizing assets into folders like this is a good habit that keeps your project tidy and easy to navigate, especially as it grows. Select the new material in the project window. In the inspector window, you'll see the material's properties. Let's customize it by changing the color. Now that you've customized your material, it's time to apply it to an object in the scene. Drag the material from the Materials folder in the Project window directly onto the object in the Scene view or the Hierarchy window. Alternatively, with the object selected, go to the Inspector window. Under the Mesh Renderer component, locate the Materials section and assign your material. You can also browse and find your material to assign it. Once applied, your object will now display the customized material, reflecting the changes you made to its appearance. Let's also create a new material for the player. In this chapter, we briefly explored the Unity editor, starting with templates and creating a new project. We examined the editor's interface, customized the layout, and practiced navigating the scene view using pan, zoom, and keyboard controls. We created game objects like a ground plane and a player capsule, renamed and positioned them, and adjusted their properties in the inspector. In the project window, we organized assets by creating folders. Finally, we created and customized materials, applying them to objects to bring our scene to life. These steps provided a solid foundation for designing and customizing games in Unity. The next step is to write and attach a script to GameObject, then test it in play mode. I hope you enjoyed this introduction to the Unity editor and learned something new.